He said, Dr. Hilliard said that a sheepdog is the ultimate contradiction. He said because a group of dogs will come to a pasture and see some sheep to eat. They're hungry. But the one animal that will interfere with their meal is a sheepdog. There is a canine just like them. And they will go to the sheepdog and say, look, dude, hook a brother up. We're hungry. But the sheepdog will look at them and say, and they'll say, roof, roof, and he'll say, bah. The reason why is because when the sheepdog was a puppy, they raised that sheepdog among sheep. So he went to a sheep school, read sheep books, had a sheep preacher that just preached on the 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd. That's all he preached. He had sheep images and sheep pictures all over the place. So that anatomically, while he may be a dog, psychologically, he's a sheep. Now, had he been in a dog-centric institution, then he would have read about Deputy Dog and Rin Tin Tin and Lassie and Ain't Nothing But the Dog in You. He would have had pictures of Toto on the Wizard of Oz. And that's why we need our black institutions. Because only when we have our black institutions can we have a consciousness of who we are, and what we should be about, and not being psychologically bifurcated. You know you've got a black institution not only when you have black consciousness, but when you have black concerns. And what I love most about Yvette and Antonio is that every time you listen to them, they are talking about black concerns. Yeah. I am so sick and tired of turning on CNN and MSNBC with black talking heads who never get around to talking about my issues and my concerns. When you got your own institutions, you have institutions in which there's a consciousness. You know who you are. You have your concerns, but you're at the forefront. And more importantly, you are in control. You are in governance. And the reason why you are here in this space is because we control it. Come on. I have to get anybody's permission to bring ADOS, my brothers and my sisters, into this room. Because we control it. And that's why we need our black institutions. And we have lost them. We have been deinstitutionalized. We've gone from segregation to desegregation to integration to disintegration. And we will not get strengthened until we have our institutions back. Sitting next to white people is not the social transformation that black people really need. See, integration, as it was constructed by white liberals, was designed not to repair black people. Integration was designed to relieve white liberal guilt. So we lost our space, and then we went over into white space where we were diminished. Black businesses, by and large, got abdicated. We lost control of our educational agenda. Black principals became assistant principals. Black teachers declined. Black coaches became PE teachers. And it gives us the illusion of inclusion. That because you see a few blacks in commercials, in magazines, that somehow racism has been solved. And it has given blacks the illusions that they have arrived, those who have gotten into white space. Now, I'm not saying that black institutions alone can get us where we need to be as a people. We cannot do it. Think of black institutions much like when the Titanic went down. Think of those lifeboats. Black institutions are lifeboats that just sustain us. But those lifeboats that kept some people alive after the Titanic went down did not have the ability to get people from the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, back to New York. They had to bring in another ship, the Carpathia. And the Carpathia took them, and black institutions do not have the power to get us where we need to be in terms of justice. But black institutions can sustain us, can mobilize us, can organize us as we're doing right now. If you want to know the power of a black institution, you are seeing it in being worked out right now. This is black space, and this is what should take place in black space. I'm in all 5 of those black institutions. I'm in the black church. I'm married. I'll be married 40 years this year. I'm the president of a black college. I support and have supported for years and will continue to support Tone Talks and Breaking Ground. I am in all of those institutions. I'm the pastor of a church. You are in the poorest zip code in Kentucky, the 40210 zip code where we are. We were challenged. I became the president, the pastor of St. Stephen Church 40 years ago. And when I became the pastor in this poor, destitute neighborhood, poorest zip code in Kentucky, median income $12,000 a year, but we decided to plant our mailbox in concrete and to try to do something transformative for the people here. And so we began systematically, because when I came here, nothing was here. We didn't have this building, we didn't have the family life center, we owned no land. But we decided to stay and systematically buy up land, not gentrification. Because gentrification is a black displacement, not gentrification. Gentrification is much like fornication. Somebody's getting screwed. And black people getting But when I got here, there was nothing but liquor stores and nightclubs on every corner all around us. But we stayed here, and over the course of 40 years, we were able to buy up all the liquor stores. All of them are gone. Nightclubs are gone. Built this facility here. Built the Family Life Center. Purchased land and apartments. Converted those apartments. And so God literally gave us the land of the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Canaanites, the Budlites, and the Shadlites. Have you seen
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Our institution hires more black people than any institution in the state of Kentucky. We are the largest employer of black people. 15 years ago, the trustees of Simmons College of Kentucky asked me when I become the president. Our church, my father was the first black chairman of the Jefferson County Public School System here in Louisville. And he called me on the phone one day in the 90s. He said to me, Kevin, they're putting up for sale the old Simmons College campus. Campus that slaves built, but we lost in 1930, casualty of the Depression. And he said, they're putting up for sale. You need to go and buy it for the church. So we went and purchased it for the church for $125,000. These old buildings, nobody wanted them. And this was back around 96, 97. 8 years later, I became the president of Simmons College. And it dawned on me that the president of Simmons College, as the president and as the pastor of St. Stephen Church, that St. Stephen Church owned the property that was built by slaves. And that we could get the property back to the original owners. So in 2007, we had a deal. The president and the pastor had a conversation. They get along with. And we were able to get the property back to Simmons College of Kentucky. And we kept on struggling until 10 years later, after I became president, we got the school accredited. And because the school never closed, it never closed. When the University of Louisville took over our campus because we lost it to foreclosure, they had a non-compete clause which said that we're going to take all your departments away from you. We're going to take your law school. Our law school is one of the premier law schools in the country, black-owned, patterned after Howard University. In fact, the Worley case that integrated, that shut down segregation in housing in 1970, the first case the NAACP won in 1917 was a law student at Simmons College right here in Louisville, Kentucky, who won the case. We produced Ida B. Wells. So we decided, well, we got the school accredited, and then after we got the school accredited, they took everything from us, a law school, everything. They said you can only have one department. And that's your Bible department. Which is to say they took everything from us but God. And I discovered that when God is all you got, God is really all you need. And we got the school accredited, and after school was accredited, we became the 107th historical black college and university because the school had never closed. But having said that, as I close, we need more than just our institutions. We get our institutions to do what Yvette and Antonio are talking about, and that's to push for reparations. Because after all that we've done, I've been here at this church for 40 years. I've been the president of Simmons for 14 years, and after all that we've done, this institution, our family life center, is in jeopardy. And it's in jeopardy because we can't compete with white wealth. Right around the corner from us, next month, or this month, a YMCA was just built. $28 million YMCA that is white governed. Now there's a black YMCA that's been in this city right around the corner also for about 100 years. But white philanthropy, instead of giving the money to black institutions that have been anchoring the community for years, decided that they would build a white-controlled YMCA with swimming pools. Colonialism. Which means that in just 1 year of building, because they get the money, we have to build our institutions through free market capitalism. They get philanthropic welfare. And you can't compete with that. And that is why don't let anyone fool you to tell you that all we need is businesses and start our own businesses, and that if we start our own businesses without government protection, that's not all we need. I've been there. If you don't have reparations and government protection, with white wealth and white power, they can come in at any moment and basically shut you down. But I'm asked, what does ADOS want? What do you want? Some man asked me, what do you want? Y'all having this ADOS conference. One guy said, what do you want?
Cut the check.
And I said, well, let me reverse the question. What would you want if you've been robbed for 246 years?
That's the good question.
What would you want if you had been segregated and Jim Crow and convict leased and lynched and locked out and New Dealed, redlined, urban renewed, mass incarcerated? What would you want? You would want justice. And that's what ADOS wants. ADOS wants justice. And we can get justice, but we will not be able to get justice if we don't leave here. And as Yvette said, get back in our institutions and take over our institutions and make sure that those institutions have an agenda that advances the uplift of ADOS. When you go back to your hometown, you get on the airplane, and they will give you flight instructions, and they will tell you that in the event that there's a decrease in oxygen, they'll tell you that oxygen mask will be deployed. If you're sitting next to a dependent, first take oxygen for yourself and then give it to somebody else. And the rationale is that if you fall out, you're not in a position to help anybody else. We need some oxygen in our institutions, in our communities. We need to breathe again. Because Papa may have, and Mama may have.
What?
But God bless the child that's got his own.
Okay.
Thank you for being here. St. Stephen Church.
There was Dr. Kevin Cosby.